Now, when it comes to shows that I usually watch, I'm not necessarily gonna lie. I usually kind of just pick shows and then look at the clips of what exists and then kind of just judge from there. At least that's what I usually do. But this time, looking at some clips off of TikTok and then also seeing a few people recommend this show, I might as well talk about it and see what it's about, honestly. Kamikatsu, a show that I've seen on TikTok, was said to be a horrible shit show, which how, but also when it comes down to things, this show also just knows what it is and it has a good time. That's what I honestly enjoy about Kamikatsu. For those who may not know, the basic plot of the show is essentially this main man, Yukito, I believe, who is essentially just getting executed, which honestly he getting yeeted by his own father because his crazy ass religion cult type of thing, which his life has been pretty shit in that world that he lived in, and essentially dies and getting launched into the water and getting isekai into a different realm. Which the first damn thing happens to him is just literally him getting jerked off by some pink ass, fine ass chick who is totally not the evil ass bitch from Fire Force. But when it comes down to things, she has the same kind of spirit. But when it comes down to things, then she found out that he woke the hell up, snapped his dick off, which ow, that hurt me, and honestly, that takes a lot to hurt me, honestly, visually. But when it comes down to things, basically, the whole world that he lives in has very messed up ideas on how life and things should honestly be, thanks to the kingdom that they're living in and the emperor and how he deems life itself needs to be, taking a bit of a dark road sometimes. So they have this end of life program, which, as you can kind of think of it as, is basically just one big old swording of yourself, honestly. So that's that's basically not a good thing. It's basically one giant game over for yourself. But when the emperor says it's time to go, it's time to go. There is nothing else to it. Even if you're healthy as shit, if someone says it's time to go because you live in these camps, then it's time to go. Which happens to a lot of people, and it's normal here. And there's no such thing as God in this world as well. So that's also the reason why a lot of this has happened, honestly. So Yukito being in this world and not necessarily understanding what he means there's no God in this world, so he just like, oh nah, F this, we gotta figure something out. So when it comes down to things, he plans to go ahead and just try to fight back in some shape and form after a long experience of not being the isekai main video game character champion of all champions. He ends up finding out that his new friends, his new homies, are getting executed. Especially the Fire Force chick that we all saw before, Allura, which essentially had her sister, also fine as hell, got hanged. Damn it. Anyway, when it comes down to things, basically he tried to go in, stop this whole nonsense with what happening. He was throwing a little bit of hands though, we can't necessarily lie. However, Allura ends up getting killed, which is a nonsense, and then the same thing happens to Yukito. So at the very last end of his life, he ends up trying to reach out to his Magatama and praying to somebody to come through and actually fixing this whole situation. Entered naked lolly Mitama. So when it comes down to things, Mitama comes down like, oh, what's good, bro? You actually saved my life. Oh my gosh, my follower is dead. So when it comes down to things, this whole weird ass, fake ass Kai from Guilty Gear looking ass boy, Bert, basically comes through. I don't remember the rest of their name, but Bertrand, I think that's their name. But when it comes down to things, he was like, hey, who is this small ass bitch? And the last thing he ends up seeing is a small ass bitch whooping his ass and consuming him to the Shadow Realm, never to be seen again. So Mitama ends up reviving everybody who ends up getting killed, and basically from that point forward, Yukito's life has never really been the same. But when it comes down to things, this show is just very wonderful. So if I'm being perfectly honest, one, it just knows what it is because it just wants to have fun. It knows it's a comedy. Yes, there's going to be somewhat serious moments in the show, but also it established itself as a comedy in the first damn episode, which, that's good, because that way you know, okay, if the anime is going to get serious, you know it's going to be serious. When you know the anime is going to be, comedic, it's also going to have its comedic elements, which is very nice. And honestly, people will still be mad when the show does things like this, where maybe comedic timing happens and you don't necessarily know why. Like, the show kind of established itself in the first episode with a lot of points where it does happen to have things like that, So Why are you getting mad? I don't necessarily know. And honestly, the comedy in this show has been hella funny. I'm not necessarily gonna lie. So the fact that someone says this is trash material, it's really not. It's actually really freaking funny. And I'll be honest, a lot of anime don't make me laugh out loud or even give me a smile when they be telling jokes, honestly. A lot of them be having very trash humor, if I'm being perfectly honest. But because I can actually understand it and actually is trying to be funny without trying too hard, it honestly just really good, honestly. I think my favorite thing about the show is just Roy, honestly, with his very comedic and creepy ass moments, mainly because he's just like, very simpish between every single woman in the camp that he's in, and also Mitama, which honestly he's appreciating and praising that cunning. Everybody should do so. That's exactly what we're gonna try to do with Alice tonight. But anyway, when it comes down to things, basically this man just not necessarily having no limits. Is just like, I want some of that Mitama goodness. Please let me have some of that. And so far, I'm not necessarily gonna lie, Roy has the best, funniest moment in the entire damn show. Because what they ended up doing in episode 4 was by far, by default, the funniest shit I've ever seen. They literally said, nah, let's go ahead and not animate anything. Let's just go ahead and put a special filter over the actual real life footage of a farmer and put Roy's face on that hoe. Like, oh shit, that was way too funny for no effing reason. Like, y'all mean to tell, it just goes to show, this show knows exactly what it wants to be, and it's not afraid to hide it, So, the fact that some people might be like, oh, the CGI is bad. No, now I'm thinking that shit is on purpose. They probably done that shit on purpose, only going out when they really want to go full out for like an actual good scene, So the fact that they put Roy's face on a real life Japanese person, or whoever this is, I don't necessarily know, I find that very hilarious. And it's fun to have, moments like this in shows where they just don't care. They just kind of know what they're doing and they just want to have fun. That's hilarious to me. Also, remember that Guilty Gear homie I was talking about in the beginning? Well, the Guilty Gear homie ends up becoming a Guilty Gear homegirl because Mitama just ended up transferring their gender for some reason, not really even knowing why she even did that herself. And some of the outfits that they go ahead and toss her in, whew, I'm not necessarily gonna lie, some of that shit makes me want to get isekai so I can go find this chick anyway. And also, we gotta give some props to Mitama. I'm not necessarily gonna lie, she literally is acting like she's above everybody, but that's because she is. I mean, like in the world's the RDC world, I mean, she's a god. Like, there ain't no debate. She's a god. But when it comes down to things, she can even summon other deities to come and help her into play, even though they completely dipped off of her because they did not like the followers that she had, because there's not many of them, so screw you and your problems, I guess. But when it comes down to things, she's fine. I don't necessarily hate her. I actually like her design, honestly. It's kind of one of the better designs for a lolly character I would say I've seen in a very long time, honestly. And of course, I like Allura, honestly, because she also has some very funny moments too. Talking about she gonna chop off her breast because she want to get rid of these meat bags because apparently Yukito likes it small, which is some wild ass shit, which honestly, do not cut them hoes off. I need those hoes. And of course I was gonna pretty much just like her. She's a main girl. But nothing prepared me for the absolute peak, absolute supremacy, absolute, oh my gosh, is this Konoko's actual sister from a different anime? Atar. Atar, by far, is my favorite looking chick. I'm not necessarily gonna lie. She is just everything. She has the soft-spoken voice. She doesn't necessarily give a damn about majority of things. She literally has very destructive power. She's quite literally cute as shit. She has a very unique design and look, and beat the absolute crap out of Bertanad and freaking Mitama as well. Like, do not sit here and tell me you do not believe in Atar's supremacy. Honestly. I ain't gonna even hold you. It's like Sage and Konako fused into one person. And you mean to tell me if that's the end result of what we end up coming with? Then, yes sir, I could take that. Oh, and we can't necessarily forget about Clint, which, I'll be perfectly honest, I already knew that was something weird about him from the jump. Like, that might not necessarily be the right type of person that, we should be looking at, honestly. And it ends up becoming this fine-ass chick, or person, thing, I don't necessarily know. Loki, who essentially it's slapping, honestly. You mean to tell me I don't necessarily. Here's the thing: if you mean to tell me that they have, the voice that they currently have in the actual sub of the show, and it is what it is with that voice, I'm not necessarily gonna lie. I'm still gonna have to beat up them cheeks. It is what it is, both ways. So it is absolutely what it is. But I'm still gonna give it to Atara. I think Atara is still my favorite chick in the entire show so far. So far, so good. Only episode 4 has been out so far, but overall, I enjoyed the show. It's actually really damn fun. And I would highly recommend that you just give it a whirl. If you need something comedy and you need something that's really good with a cute ass piece of cunning, then the show is gonna be it is what it is for you. I think the only reason why people say that this show was trash was because of the ecchi scenes and the lolly involved, which honestly eat ass. But when it comes down to things, that's basically all I really want to talk about for this one today. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on Twitter, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Patreon is available as well. Until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.